if you are in a relationship with someone who is struggling with CPTSD, childhood trauma, even maybe struggling with substance abuse, getting over abusive relationships, they've had abusive relationships in the past, it simply takes two things in order for that relationship to still be able to work and function and can even become a successful, loving relationship. I had a viewer ask me, what is the best way to be in a relationship with and support someone who is struggling with a traumatic past? They're going through a hard time. They kind of can't see the forest through the trees. What's the best way to be there with them? Because let's face it, if you're someone who's clicked on this video, I bet you also deal with a lot of past trauma in relationships. And when that happens, we find ourselves in relationships with other traumatized people. No one's perfect. We've all had something in our lives happen that affected who we've become. But I'm telling you right now, not everyone deserves to be thrown out with yesterday's news. If we all glided through life writing people off and running away at the first sign of trouble, no one would ever have a chance to form relationships that are very rewarding. Some people are worth sticking around for. Hello friends, my name is Maria, and I understand what it's like to love someone who is broken and also be loved as someone who was broken. And if you'd like to learn what I feel actually worked when someone was committed to loving me through the pain, and also why my actions were showing them that it wasn't a lost cause for them, then grab a bottle of nail polish and let's talk. I've got two examples of relationships in my life that I would define as highly successful, even though there were times when one person was really struggling. One was a relationship with a family member, one was a romantic relationship, two different scenarios, but at the end of the day, it's all love. Which brings me to the first item of what a relationship needs to survive this. It needs the person who clicked on this video. It needs you to genuinely love and be committed to the person who is struggling, and you know that they are struggling, and you are willing to put in the time and patience to help them through it, knowing that not every day with them is going to be a banner day. And I know that might come as a shock to some of you because the whole theme of my channel is, no, don't waste your time on people who are jerking you around and emotionally abusing you and playing hot and cold and making your life miserable. That's why the second half of this equation is so essential. So we have the first half, which is you, your generosity of heart, your support, your patience, your love. But we also need them, right? The second half of the relationship, the second half of the equation, the second half that shows up with you and makes the commitment to participate in their own rescue. They are actively participating in this relationship. They have acknowledged that they are going through a hard time. They are not abusing you. I will tell you right now, people struggling with CPTSD are going to have flash moments. A lot of times we have a hard time regulating our emotions, or we do things that sabotage, or we say something out of a burst of anger or fear, trying to push the other person away. And a lot of times it's because we just don't know how to deal with these big feelings that we're having, and we just need to be left to our own devices and have a little bit of space. But the difference is, they come back to you. They tell you they need the space. They tell you that they're struggling and they just need to be left alone for a little while. They don't ice you out for days or weeks, and then when you guys do connect again, it's not really connecting. They won't even talk about the problem. They won't apologize for the outburst. They won't admit to anything. These are not signs that this person is going to be able to make it through this relationship with you. And you're not going to be able to make it through the relationship either, not without losing a huge part of your sanity, and probably not without losing some of who you are, not without losing yourself into the relationship. It's going to become all you can think about. It will turn you into someone that you don't recognize and set you up for all kinds of future heartbreak and traumatic experiences in future relationships. Now, physical abuse is always a deal breaker, but if you've been in a relationship with this person and you've gotten to know them pretty well, you start to recognize signs that they're just having an issue and lashing out. Basically, what you don't want to sweep under the rug is the fact that you need boundaries too. You deserve them. All right, so how do you deal with this? How do you stick through it without completely losing yourself? Well, I told you I would give you an example. When I was younger, I was really struggling and going through a lot of sifting through trauma that I had experienced. And even though I wasn't actively abusing substances, I was at that point in my life where, really like a light breeze could have tipped me back over the edge. Now, my dad, as someone who loved me, who saw the potential in me, who understood that I wasn't really like this, I was just going through a hard time. And obviously my dad is someone I had a relationship with. We lived together, and he sat me down and explained to me that although it was clear to him that I was going through a hard time, he was going to be there for me. He also made it very clear that he was putting up boundaries for his own mental health. And that is one of the most important aspects of it. Regardless of what anyone else is going through, even if they're begging you not to give up on them, it is not your lot in life to be convenient to an abuser. And it is never a good idea to stick around with someone who's turning you into a lesser version of yourself. We can support people. We should never support taking abuse. And if that means you have to step out of the relationship and love them and support them from a safe place, do it. And I will tell you, even though at the time I had no idea how I was going to overcome this place where I was at, I can tell you that I knew I wanted to. I wanted healthier friends. I wanted happier relationships. I wanted to be a healthier person. And because of this, when my dad said, I will actively support you, I said, okay, I will actively participate in helping myself. Now we have the two elements that are going to give this relationship the best shot it has. Here's what this relationship looked like on a daily basis. My dad held his own boundaries. I was going through my own junk, but he did not let it stop him from going to work, having a social life, enjoying hobbies that he enjoyed having. If I was having a bad time and I wanted to talk about it, we would talk about it. And other than that, we maintained a father-daughter relationship where we did things together. We would go get lunch somewhere. We would get the oil changed in our vehicles. We would paint or cook food together. My dad suggested some healing tools for me, like therapy, or he'd hand me a book or give me a number of someone that I could talk to. But he never turned it into me having to do these things to keep him happy. It wasn't for him, because even though I'm sure he wanted a better relationship with his daughter, he knew that the only person who could really change me was me. All he could do was offer solutions because he knew that I was trying to get better, but he didn't force them on me. He didn't nag me about them. I could go to therapy or not go to therapy. The only thing that mattered to him is that I did whatever I needed to do that I felt was best to make sure that I just kept moving forward. And eventually, over time, it wasn't overnight, but I would say over the next year, as he stood behind me and consistently supported me while I was on my journey to try to heal myself and improve my life, things got better and the relationship got better and it got closer. It's a really nice memory for me. We decided to live together for a pretty long time. And you know what? I still do Taco Tuesdays. What's ironic is my dad probably would have been the only person on the planet that even had a right to come into the relationship and say, hey, you need to do this. He's my dad. But if you're in a romantic relationship with someone and you start playing the role of the parent of, well, you need to do this and I need you to check these things out, and then constantly following up with them like, oh, did you call that number today? And then what's really disastrous is when the other person starts to feel like you are kind of their parental figure, and then they have to start hiding things from you, or they're having a bad day and they're trying to hide it from you, or they didn't call that number because there's a lot of fear and they start lying to you about things. This is how the relationship does not work, and it's going to really start to fall apart. But maybe by that time in my life, my dad had learned that you cannot force anyone to do anything. And when you try and apply too much pressure, 9 times out of 10, that other person's going to end up resenting you. It's going to backfire. The definition of support is, simply put, not hindering the progression of a goal. If someone has told you with their whole heart that they are committed to the relationship and that they want to get through it, maybe offer them a few suggestions and just get the hell out of their way. If they come to you and want to talk to you about it, be open and listen without judgment. Do not nag at them for things that they should be doing. And by all means, do not sit around and let yourself become a punching bag just because they're having a bad day. Exit the situation, and when everything's cooled down, as 2 people in a relationship, you come back to it together later and talk about what happened. And then you move forward. And I cannot stress the coming back together enough. This is not a relationship where one person's committed to it and the other person is committed to pretending like nothing happened and stonewalling you. The last thing I would ever want to do is come on this channel and encourage anyone to stay in a toxic relationship with someone who's merely using them. In fact, this entire channel is based on improving what's on the inside so you can have healthier relationships and be more attractive on the outside. Welcome to the other half, where we know attraction is not just about looks. You also have to take care of the inner half, because your number 1 priority is to yourself. If you can be with someone who's struggling that you love and hold your boundaries and stay in that relationship, more power to you. That's awesome. If you're in a relationship with this person and now you're skipping the gym, or you're pouring an extra glass of wine, or that cigarette habit that you kicked, well, it's kind of sneaking back in, get out. And I understand that this is the kind of a relationship where it was a close family member, so there's probably a bit more of an incentive to really see it through. Relationships are always a gamble, and I never want to see anyone waste their time on anyone who hasn't earned it and doesn't deserve it. But there are things that you can look for that will help you judge maybe a little more swiftly whether or not this is worth seeing through. Just like with the family member dynamic, the 2 items are still the same in the romantic situation. One person like you who's willing to stick it out and be supportive and patient, and the other person who is committed every single day to participate in their own rescue. These 2 things never change. Do you know in your gut, in your heart, in your spirit, that this person is genuine when they tell you they love you? Can you guys still go out and have a lot of fun together, like a boyfriend and girlfriend? If you live with them and you guys have kind of a dysregulated CPTSD day, are they willing to come back later and talk to you, or do they completely stonewall you and they're not willing to do that? Do you get the general feeling that when you're hurting, they give a crap about it? Someone who sees you in pain. It is 2 people in a relationship. They're not the only ones struggling. And you know what? You've got your own junk too. We all have mental health issues that we bring into the dating world. And if you are interested in the subject of learning how to overcome trauma so that you can date with a happier, healthier mindset, please subscribe. Share this video with someone that you know is struggling. I wish I had known this stuff years ago. And I do, but I have learned beyond a shadow of a doubt, people who ignore you, not worth it. Never worth it. Do you feel like you exist in this relationship? When you text them, do they answer you back? Are they okay with being seen in pictures with you on social media? I know you love this person, but do they love you? Where are they on your birthday? Where are they when a major holiday comes up? When you have a great accomplishment, are they happy for you, or are they all of a sudden going through some kind of depressive episode? Are they treating you abusively, using their CPTSD as an excuse, and then sweeping it under the rug and never correcting the actions? Do you feel like if you have an issue, they will talk to you about it? It's not always about the other person. One of my biggest lessons from toxic relationships that were never worth my energy, whether the person was broken or not, was if I woke up in the morning and I never thought about myself first. And I'm not talking about when you have kids. That's totally different. You're always thinking about them. But if you're in a relationship with someone where the first thing you do when you open your eyes, you go immediately to them. How are they feeling today? What's it going to be like with them today? Am I going to hear from them today? They said they wanted to go out this weekend, but I haven't heard from them. I wonder if they're still up to it, and on and on and on. It's not a good sign. I know you want to love them and support them and be there for them, but that's all you can do. Just love and support them. We don't parent. We don't force. We don't try to control, and we don't believe that we can fix anybody. It's not up to us. It's not what we were meant for in this life. You can be there for somebody, but they also need to be there for you and be there for the relationship. If you're with anyone for long enough, the relationship is going to go through ups and downs and periods of struggle. But when things get hard, do you feel like they're on your team, or do you feel like they're gone in a Cinesnap? By Sally Hansen. My name is Maria Adriana. You did not have to live my life, but I certainly hope you can learn something from it. As always, thank you for visiting The Other Half.